Show you first some of the drawings, what the images are involved with here and what we're trying to achieve. Let me stand up and look. All right, here's one that I did a while back. I'm zoomed in from my drawing pad, not for these things, but I mean, I like the drawing quite a bit. It's a kind of a mythical fantasy type of topic. I didn't do a very good job with the gold leaf, but it's not so bad. I mean, it's just not what I was expecting. I will work with that some in the future. Here's another one that's in the same vein, which is zoomed in a little bit far for where I've got the camera set right now. And this just gives you some indication of what type of images we're dealing with. Actually, I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see it better. There you go. It's all done with a graphite pencil, and then I spray fix them. Then I like to mount them on a foam core board, which keeps them nice and straight. And if I do want to put gold leaf on them, move that down a little bit like that. I can, because it has a nice, firm base so that the paper won't wrinkle when you put the glue on. All right, so let me move these over here. Plop. And this thing needs to come out to 2.0 right about there. And a couple little dents right in here in the paper, but I'm not going to worry about that. It'll probably come out when I glue the thing to the foam core board. So, what to draw? How are we going to do this? All right, let's start with just another female face. And we'll kind of move it down in a pensive way. Let's start with very loose sketching. I'm going to narrate for the first part of this, and then as I get more into it, hopefully, I will speed up the whole process and use either a fast forward or use a time lapse. There's a lot of glue around here because you can't believe how jerry-rigged this stand is for my smartphone. But that's what I'm using because I just did not want to go out spend money on new stuff, especially with the fact that I need a new cell phone anyway. So if I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to get a little bit better cell phone than what I have now. I've had this one for quite a few years. It's a Android 7, I believe. Well, the expressive things I find, well, actually I won't say that. I was going to say is for women's faces, they become interesting if you move the eyebrows up high, which gives them a kind of an inquisitive expression. But actually, that second one I showed you, the eyebrows are kind of very knitted down, which is also very dramatic. So that looks pretty decent also. These things are a lot of fun to draw. They have a lot of latitude built into them because I'm not trying to capture a likeness. I mean, except in a generalized way, that is. The whole idea of, like you've got somebody you want to really look just like them is a real question of being able to really get proportion exactly right. Every little nuance of a person's physiology in their face is usually has to be exactly right, or if I didn't have a kneaded eraser, I'd be lost. Or it's not going to look like them that much. I mean, you come up with a caricature. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either. I don't know what type of headgear to put on this person. We'll work that out as we get a little further into it. The rough sketch is kind of where you get things kind of ironed out. I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of a lot of art. I've looked at a lot of art, but of the pre-Raphaelites, because at first blush, when you look at them, you say, "Well, this is just a lot of fussy, romantic, symbolist art," that nobody really wants to see anymore. It looks too, too stuffy and everything. But actually, that's not really the case. They were a very socially and culturally attuned group to everyday social life. And I don't really like the way I'm doing this right now. And early on, they were quite political and quite into the plight of women, particularly, and the way that they are subjugated and abused in a male-dominated society. They also were quite concerned with spiritual things, especially when it concerns the Western culture, which would be the Bible. And they wanted to use the themes and depict them in a way where they really become more, they're not idealized, they're more of a part of reality and a part of real life. And how's this looking? Okay, I guess. Get rid of that area a little bit. No, that made a big difference. So, I mean, I say I'm a big fan of theirs. I don't know as much about them as I do a lot of other movements in art, like, the abstract expressionists and stuff like that. I mean, the pre-Raphaelites, they've gotten a kind of a rejuvenation here lately, because I guess it was the National Gallery in London put on a big show, traveling show that went around worldwide a few years back, and came here to the National Gallery here in Washington, D.C. I went and saw it. And outside of seeing their artwork, and I hope this thing is not shaking too much, seeing their work only in magazines before, it was really great to see the paintings. They are incredible. They're really good. I mean, they dealt with some, I won't say they're sentimental subject matters, but I mean, one of their great themes was, the Alfred Lord Tennyson poem, the Lady of Shalott, and that's a subject that just pops up all the time. But they dealt a lot with the everyday cast of people, and particularly when it came to women, it was kind of like they dealt a lot with the prostitutes and their plight in life, and I just find their work to be really, really great. Of course, it was more than just painting. It was poetry and some sculpture, and there was a lot going on with them. I have a tendency to make my figures a little Hollywoodized, because they wind up having extra long eyelashes, but kind of helps pictures, I think, a little bit along. I guess that's something from the comic book era that I'm used to looking at. Let's see, I didn't look at my watch when I started, but I think I've been going for 5 minutes. I saw a video on YouTube where it said, in doing these things, shoot them at about 8-minute intervals, and then get a program and knit them all together. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do with this, because it probably is just going to eat up my phone unless I drop this into my computer over here. Yeah, you're always kind of, this, one of the advantages of working with graphite is that you can easily get back in there and make corrections, and that is critical, because with pen, you really have to lay things out first with a pencil, I think, before you really get going on it. I mean, I guess it depends on your skill as an artist. I've seen some people who can just kind of go right to it with the pen and do a spectacular job right from the get-go, but I'm not one of those. I have to adjust, look, adjust, readjust, that sort of thing. Constantly keep looking at the thing. This woman has a little bit of a smile on her face, which is pleasant. I like that. I have a to make the eyes too big, but it adds drama to them. I don't want them to look like anime. That's not the idea here at all. But I like the fact of, I hope my head's not in the camera. I really don't have any way of knowing. I took a shot of myself to see if my head was in it earlier, and I don't think it was. You might see my glasses, I'm not sure. But I always like to, noisy neighbors in their fancy little cars. These guys love to run that thing around. I don't know if you can hear that or not. I'm very lucky to have this table right in front of my sliding glass door to my little small porch I've got here, because it allows me to use natural light, which is pretty. I got a spot on there, and I got one over my shoulder, and I guess that helps round out some of the light a little bit. I got a pretty hefty shadow from my hand here, but doesn't look like it's too annoying. Getting close to 8 minutes, I think. And I should cut this thing a little bit. All right, I guess I'm going to stop the camera for a second and then start right back up again. So hold on, looks pretty good from this angle up here. Oh yeah, okay, I've done 14 minutes, so that's more than 8. Okay, I'm going to pause. Okay, running again. I'm going to just give this a couple more minutes before I before I go to the next video segment, which I'll keep my big trap shut, big mouth shut, and that way that portion can be sped up or done either in time lapse. I don't know which way I heard that, or maybe they're both the same. I don't know. I'm new to this. I'm telling you, this is certainly fun, certainly enjoyable, and I'm trying to get the hang of it, and hopefully that will not be too steep of a learning curve. So right now I'm pretty happy with the face and how it's working out. I think there's an interesting kind of expression on her face. There's a little bit of it's a little like a muse, you know, she's got a little bit of a smile, and then she's got maybe not a smile, it's kind of hard to determine. I think we'll put her into some sort of cloth, like a hoodie. This will have to be an old-timey hoodie. I don't really know how to draw one of these stupid things. I'm trying to avoid, there's some things if I put a knight on a horse or something like that, I'm definitely going to have to get an image up on my computer to look at. Actually, I'll put it right over there, and then I can see what I'm doing. I can look up at it. Okay, so right now, things are going pretty good. I'm going to shut off the narration part and then can shoot the next video in silence so that I can speed it up and also voice over that if I feel like it, or maybe have some music. I don't know. Sometimes I think music ruins these videos, but whatever. Okay, see you in a bit.